Hello and welcome to Bottom Line. Well, the Ministry of Home Affairs has just announced the extension of the ongoing nationwide lockdown by 2 more weeks, that is May 17th. As per the MHA statement, the strictness of the lockdown 3.0, as it's being called, will depend on the level of COVID-19 outbreak in the respective districts across the country. A limited number of activities will remain prohibited throughout the country, irrespective of zones, which include travel by air, rail, metro and interstate movement by road. Running of schools, colleges, institutions, hospitality services, including hotels and restaurants, places of large gatherings such as cinema halls, malls, gym, sports complex, social, political, cultural and all kind of gathering, religious place, place of worship for public will continue to remain closed during this extension of the lockdown. In the green zones, all activities are permitted except the limited number of activities that are prohibited throughout the country, irrespective of the zone. However, buses can operate with up to 50% sitting capacity and bus depots can operate with up to 50% capacity. All goods traffic is to be permitted. No state, union territories shall stop the movement of cargo for cross-land border trade under treaties with neighboring countries. No separate pass of any sort is needed for such movement, which is essential for maintaining the supply chain of goods and services across the country during the lockdown period. In the orange zones, taxis and cab aggregators will be permitted with one driver and one passenger only. Inter-district movement of individuals and vehicles will be allowed for permitted activities only, which will be monitored, mind you, by the MHA. Four-wheeler vehicles will have maximum 2 passengers besides the driver, and pillion riding will be allowed on two-wheelers. A large number of other activities are allowed in some of the zones, but the red zones will continue to have the most restrictions in place. Meanwhile, all industrial and construction activities in rural areas, including Narega works, food processing units, brick kilns are permitted. Besides, in rural areas, without distinction to the nature of goods, all shops except in shopping malls are permitted, which means standalone shops will remain open. All agricultural activities, for example, sowing, harvesting, procurement and marketing operations in the agricultural supply chain are also permitted. And this goes without saying, all health services are to remain functional, including transport of medical personnel and patients through also air ambulances. A large part of the financial sector remains open, which includes banks, non-banking finance companies, insurance and capital market activities, and credit cooperative societies. Manufacturing units of essential goods, including drugs, pharmaceuticals, medical devices, manufacturing of IT hardware and manufacturing units of packaging material will continue to be permitted. Public utilities, for example, utilities in power, water, sanitation, waste management, telecommunications and internet will remain open. So more or less, yes, it may sound like the extension of a lockdown, but a lot of activities are allowed. Nothing to panic. Why this was necessary? Because the lockdown period ended on May 3rd. If there would be no order, no extension or some sort of guidelines given, it would simply mean that all activities will be allowed to function from May 4th. That's why the MHA has given this fresh order, that is extension of the lockdown till the 17th of May. But a lot of relaxations continue to remain in place. Well, we'll have our editor-in-chief, Wasbir Hussain, will be joining me shortly over the phone to give his perspective on this. I'll also be joined from Shillong by Dr. Prasenjit Biswas of the NEHU, Professor NEHU. But first of all, I would like to go to Meghalaya Deputy Chief Minister, Mr. Preston Tinsong, who is joining me from Shillong. Thank you so much, for joining us on Bottom Line. My first question, Mr. Tinsong, the lockdown has been extended. The lockdown has been extended. Does it change anything that the cabinet decided today, especially interstate?
Well, as far as the interstate movement is concerned within the northeastern states, in fact, our Chief Minister has taken up with the counterparts. Okay, so right now I will not comment anything because it depends on the mutual understanding between the northeastern states chief ministers. So right now, as I said to you, I will not comment anything. But of course, since the lockdown is extended nationally, our friends, our students outside the northeastern states, because it's so difficult to walk it out with other states. But within the northeastern states, still, it is easier for us. Moreover, in northeastern states as a whole, I think we have a very, very minimum percentage of the COVID-19. Okay? So therefore, I personally feel for the interstate movement within the northeastern states, we will walk it out in consultation, close consultation with each other, state chief ministers. So we'll take a call on that. No, see, right now it is okay because this is within the state. Okay, when we talk about public transportation 25% in the district, we will go on. We will not change it. Okay, be it industries and all also, we will not change it. But of course, big industries like cement industry, since the interstate movement is extended again, not allowed, then maybe.
Good news from Meghalaya. The good news from Meghalaya is that only one active case now is 10 patients. 10 patients have tested negative thrice. Encouraging development, which also boosts the morale of the frontline health workers.
You know, I think by the grace of Almighty God, affected persons, and as you rightly mentioned, today we received a report where 10 of them, they are completely cured. And then one patient we are still waiting the report of the second test, which I personally feel, even the last test report will also be negative. So I'm sure maybe by tomorrow we may say that Meghalaya is free from the
Absolutely.
COVID-19.
We also hope for the same. And as you mentioned, the 11th patient, Mr. Tinsong, has also tested negative, although the person will be tested again before he's declared recovered. So if we assume that he recovers, will we see any sort of relaxations in East Khasi Hills too?
In fact, today we are taking a few decisions from the government side where, you know, the out of some relaxation has been made, excluding Shillong agglomeration, being the hotspot till today, I should say. But as far as the rest of the state, relaxation has been granted, where even the public transportation in all other districts will be allowed to be on the road again 25%, but we allow them only 25%. Even the mining activities like stone quarrying and then limestone quarrying and all, this also is allowed, as well as small scale industries unit, that also will be allowed. But strict protocols has to be followed by all the concerns.
Yeah, what I was asking is that can we expect some relaxations in Shillong as well? If the last patient also tests negative, say by tomorrow or day after, can we expect some relaxations in Shillong as well?
Surely we will see that next week. Because see, once we become COVID-19 free state, then we have to take it off with the Ministry of Home Affairs, with the central government, where ultimately they have to place even Shillong area as green zone. Then accordingly, relaxation will take place.
Okay, and the government of Meghalaya is also trying to get in stranded citizens from the state, as you mentioned in the beginning, from other parts of the region starting May 5. How many are expected to come in? What are the arrangements in place? Let us assume at this moment that everything remains the same despite the extension of the lockdown, and that there is the understanding as far as the interstate movement is concerned remains between the any states. So what are the arrangements for that?
Yeah, see, in fact, we still, the registration still on. I can't say right now how many of them they're coming back to the state, but I am very sure not less than 2,000 they will come back in any case. Okay. Then number two, now of course we are also on the job working out the SOP where the students or those people who work outside the state and within the northeastern states, the moment they landed Meghalaya, then they have to, because that is mandatory for each and every one of them, they have to go for quarantine 14 days. Okay. So regarding the details of the SOP, we are working out. I think within a day or two, we will be able to come out
And and
all the details, and then even instruction will.
And any plan in place to have quarantine centers right at the border? Like in case of Assam, they have also set up quarantine centers right at the entry of the state once you cross Srirampur. If anyone is required to be put up there, any such plans in place in Meghalaya as well as you start bringing in those stranded outside?
Right now, in every districts, we already created these centers. Okay, and including Riboy district, we already have that. Yes, the moment they enter our state, those students or those persons who were found out symptomatic, then we will take them directly to the centers created. But I'm talking about most of them, if there is no symptom, then they wish themselves to go back to their respective villages or respective place. Okay. So both option is in place. We already working out on this.
And the bigger challenge will be to get back those who are stranded outside the region. Is the government already working on the modalities?
People who are outside the northeastern states, yes, I think we do have a bigger challenge. Yes, we have already thought about it, but as of now, around northeastern states.
Okay, all right. My last question to you, sir. These are testing times as far as livelihood is concerned. Do you think they also offer an opportunity to a state like Meghalaya to realize its true potential?
Exactly. Yes. Right now, the moment we were infected with this COVID-19, ultimately now we realize one thing, that we do have quite a number of potentialities, whereas we could not tap it. So this time, I'm sure, in fact, from the government, we are, setting up few expert committees, advisory committees, where we would like to go all out, especially in the field of agriculture, horticulture, and then in the farming activities. Okay, livelihood farming activities. These are the issues where now the government is taking note of very seriously.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Tinsong. That was Mr. Preston Tinsong, the Deputy Chief Minister of Meghalaya. So Meghalaya has relaxed the measures as far as the 10 districts, the 10 green zones are concerned. A lot of relaxations will come in place, and these were on expected lines. But East Khasi Hills district, with Shillong as the headquarters, continues to remain on the red zone, and a lot of restrictions will continue. We are being joined on the phone line by our editor in chief, Wasbir Hussain. Wasbir, big decision again by the MHA, and came out when it was much unexpected. Everybody was expecting the Prime Minister probably to address the nation once again, probably by Sunday before a decision is taken. But yes, the Prime Minister did have a meeting today, a crucial meeting, and then we have the MHA directive. May have caught many of us unawares, Wasbir.
Well, yes, Nabarun, this decision by the government of India came after a lot of deliberations, after a lot of consideration. The fact that the number of COVID cases have risen now to 35,000 and more, and the number of deaths have already touching the 1,200 mark, and, per day, the number of cases are much more than 1,500 every day. Today, it is about 1,900 new cases in the last 24 hours. So taking all these things into consideration, the government does not want to, take a chance. And the fact that India is now doing relatively better, comparatively much better than some of the developed countries like the United States, UK, Italy, and Spain, I think they don't want to lose the advantage. So taking these into consideration, the government of India appears to have decided to extend the lockdown for 2 more weeks from the 4th of May, Nabarun. But, having said that, I think the government of India has now made it very clear that there will be a lot of relaxation and have divided the country into several zones, like, for example, a red zone and then the green zone and, of course, the orange zone. So if you take that into account, if you plot the zone system in the northeastern region, take the case of Assam, most parts of the state will be in the green zone or at best the red zone, except some of the states, some of the districts like Bamaga, where several cases have emerged suddenly yesterday. And now, of course, some of the patients have been released from districts like Morigaon, which have emerged from the red zone and now gone into the green zone or the complete orange zone. So this is the plan that the government is taking: staggered relaxation, staggered lifting of the lockdown. So this is part of a well-calculated plan to continue with the lockdown, maintain social distancing, break the chain of community transmission, prevent community transmission, and break the chain. I think that is the overall strategy that appears to me in our room.
Wasbir, yes, the MHA has come up with a detailed directive, but do you think it will be also equally important for the respective state governments, authorities to also come up with some guidelines, say by tomorrow, because there still seems to be some confusion among the people as to what will be allowed and what will not be allowed post May 3rd?
Yes, Navarun, you are absolutely right. There is confusion galore. Actually, there is a lot of confusion, and therefore, even today, the Assam cabinet, some of the cabinet members, not a full cabinet though, but the Chief Minister, Sabananda Sonowal, he's held a meeting to discuss exactly this, what you are talking about, so as to remove confusion from the minds of the people. But there is also another thing. The Ministry of Home Affairs and the Government of India has advised recently that the states should, arrange to take their migrant workers from their own states back home. So now this is going to happen. This is going to be unaffected by this extension of the lockdown. And although air and train services will continue to remain suspended, but the government has now given orders for movement of special trains, point-to-point running of trains, basically to carry or bring the stranded migrant workers to the respective home states. So this is a huge exercise. This is going to continue. This is going to resume, and it is going to take about 10 to 15 days. And in fact, today the Health Minister of Assam, Mr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, has said that to nearby places like to West Bengal and to even to Kolkata, buses will be sent to bring the stranded people from Assam back. And he said that the first priority will be to get all the people stranded in the 7 northeastern states back home. So these are the strategies being maintained by all the other states as well. And as you know, Meghalaya is also getting its citizens, asking its citizens to register so that they can also be brought back home. So these are some of the exercises, but these are gigantic exercises. But yes, as you said, a lot of confusion. I think the state governments will do well to deliberate on this thoroughly and come up with clarifications. But before concluding, let me also tell you, Nabarun, that the center has now, this is the 5th week of the lockdown. The center has given the state governments a lot of leeway. Now, state governments will also be able to take a lot of decisions while maintaining the overall lockdown in place. They will be able to take a lot of decisions considering the situation on a case-to-case basis.
Yes, everything will be devised, strategies will be devised district-wise. This is the idea. Thank you so much, Wasbir, for your perspective on that. We also have joining us from Guwahati, Brigu Talukdar, guest faculty, Jamia Millia Islamia, Delhi. Our Meghalaya Bureau Chief, Roshan Rai, is also joining us from Shillong. If I can go to Brigu Talukdar. Brigu, was this on expected lines? Were we expecting an extension of the lockdown, to be honest?
Have not abated, even though the doubling rate has decreased. But the cases were increasing day by day. And as long as the cases are increasing and newer areas are coming under the attack of COVID-19, so the government had no other option but to put the lockdown in place. At the same time, it has also tried to balance by giving some, lax regulations in certain other areas, so that at least some amount of economic activity might start happening, and at least a little bit of economic activity would go a long way in these desperate times.
Absolutely. If we can go to Roshan in Shillong, Roshan. The big story is that the lockdown has been extended. Meghalaya government today. We just had the Deputy Chief Minister Prason Tensong in our show. He believes that the measures that were taken will continue to be the same. So, do we see any changes after this announcement or the relaxations that had been announced as far as the 10 districts, the green zones are concerned? They will continue to stay despite the extension of the lockdown.
Yes, Nabarun, the Deputy Chief Minister already informed that, yes, whatever relaxation that has been announced within the state will stay for now. But of course, after the extension of the lockdown, it is about the second phase of getting people from outside the state, talk about those who are stranded all across the country. Getting them back has become a problem. Although the state government has will be notifying tomorrow, giving out the numbers and even the website where they can register so that government can reach them. Well, that was the plan until the lockdown extended. So that is something, that area is something which the government has to look into. And yes, the government has said that as far as those stranded in the northeastern states is concerned, probably they could work it out with all the chief ministers of the northeastern states and work upon a strategy and carry it forward. But as far as those stranded across the state, across the country is concerned, this is something which the government will be discussing and deliberating upon.
And Roshan, also indications were such that in case the 11th patient, the 11th COVID patient from Shillong tests negative tomorrow, probably by next week, we may have some relaxations also in place in East Khasi Hills, that is Shillong. Roshan, if you can hear me, can we expect, if the last patient tests negative, can we expect also some sort of relaxations by next week in Shillong too? What are the indications?
Well, Navarun, obviously things are looking very, very positive at this point in time. From 11 active positive cases, 10 have already been declared as recovered. So definitely, and just one more positive person is left, of which the second test has already been conducted, which came out negative. And just few hours from now, because the second test samples has already been collected, so which should be out. And again, the state, it is expected that it will also turn out to be negative. Well, yes. Definitely, it's a very good positive sign, and the government is looking at it. Like, again, I'll mention it's an evolving situation. Yes, the government has offered some sort of relaxation, say, in terms of people out here in the red zone getting essential commodities. The shops are open from Monday to, say, Thursday. Talk about essential commodities. Then talk about the wholesale from Friday to Sunday. So these are all open. Those will stay. But removing it from the red zone, getting it out of the red zone is something which is cannot say will be in a week or two, because this is something after all of the active patients have tested positive, the government will take it with the MHA and discuss about them how and when can it be declared as a green zone.
Roshan, my last question to you. Of course, the Meghalaya government has decided to give a lot of leeway of relaxations as far as mining activities are concerned, stone quarries and other industries. Yes, it is the Deputy Chief Minister has made it clear that, and obviously with the extension of lockdown, migrant labourers cannot come from outside, but a lot of those working also stay in East Khasi Hills, in Shillong particularly. So it is also important to keep a track that there is no movement whatsoever as far as the East Khasi Hills is concerned, that nobody is probably, we have an industrial unit in Reboy, in Jaintia Hills we have mining activities, so Are strict measures being adopted to ensure that at least there is no movement of laborers or workers from East Khasi Hills to these districts?
Yes, Navarun, this is what the government is currently focusing on. Of course, inter-district movement has been allowed, but they have been told strictly, all the respective deputy commissioners have been told strictly to regulate it and see that nobody passes through the red zone, which is Shillong and its agglomeration area. And yes, of course, following this, all the authorities have been notified to make sure that this is followed strictly.
All right, Roshan, thank you so much for all those updates. Well, the MHA has extended the lockdown period till the 17th of May. Brigu Talukdar, this was what we expected was a staggered exit, but technically if we see, can we term this as literally an extension of a lockdown or just a term given, because a lot of relaxations are in place, unlike in the first and second instance when it was a complete blanket lockdown of sorts? Brigu Talukdar, if you can hear me. Well, technically, probably we cannot call it a blanket lockdown, unlike what was the case in the first and second lockdown period. A lot of relaxations are already in place, but probably, we can still term it as a staggered exit, isn't it?
It's a very staggered exit. It's not, if it was a complete lockdown, which you're facing currently, a lot of activities have been barred from taking place. Even though certain activities have now been opened up, for that matter, the buses have been allowed in green zones. Of course, maintaining the social distances and all the protection. It doesn't mean that you are going to, keep the protections and the caution aside. You have to keep it and you have to do your daily activities. But at the same time, you also cannot risk that too many people come together in places, for that matter, the public gatherings, which will take place if certain events or certain meetings happen. So they have been, curbed. They will not be taking place. So we can say one thing, that if this period of time works out well, let's say this 2 weeks works out well for green zones, and then we can expect a bigger amount of relaxations will be coming on the next stage. I believe they have put up a mechanism where they are going to review this lockdown, this staggered exit, this delicate exit in a weekly basis. So let's hope for the best. Let the 2 weeks, if it all passes on well for green zones, at least for the green zones, then we can expect that after 2 weeks there will be more activities will be allowed.
Absolutely. We are also connected right now over the phone from Imphal by Gautam Sharma, our correspondent. Gautam, as we all know, the lockdown has been extended. Manipur, for instance, has been getting stranded students and workers from outside. It already started taking students from Guwahati, other parts of the northeast. Is the state government in touch with its counterparts elsewhere so that the movement is on track despite the developments?
Navin, Manipur is with neighboring states like Assam and other part of the country where the migrants and the students and the other workers are stranded, and the state government has already sent a first 3 or 4 buses to bring back 84th number, which is the first batch of stranded together in the Manipur, Bawal, Guwahati, and then they will bring back here in Manipur. And besides the extension of the lockdown, the state government has already provided relaxation to certain 15 specific sectors since 21st of April, after the state cabinet made a decision on 20th of April. So Manipur being a state that comes under the category of green zone, certain relaxation has been provided, and the state government has already started communicating with other states to bring back all the Manipuris.
All right, Gautam, what are the other relaxations that the government is putting in place within the state? Within the state, for instance, Meghalaya today has taken a lot of decisions as far as the relaxation measures are concerned. What about Manipur? What are the other relaxations that they're putting in place within the state, within the districts?
The specific areas that have been provided relaxation in pursuant of the central guidelines include supplies of essential goods, which means movement of goods from one place to another, essential goods from other state also, movement of cargoes and goods, health-related activities, and public utilities like LPG, home delivery, postal devices, operation of water, sanitation, waste management, and the activities like agricultural and allied activities like fisheries, animal husbandry, and most of the financial sector and the banks that has been regulated by RBI has been opened, and the MNREGA work has already been started, and the commercial private establishments like India, Korea, and other food processing.
What about the agriculture sector, Gautam? What about the agriculture sector, transportation, marketing of goods?
Yes. Agriculture sector is now in the full swing as the more relaxation has been provided to the rural areas since Manipur is no more a hotspot for COVID-19. So earlier the state had reported 2 positive cases which already been recovered, and since 21 past 21 days there has been no new report of COVID-19. So more relaxation has been provided to the rural areas, especially looking after the agriculture and those allied activities.
All right, Gautam, thank you so much for all those updates. Indu Chuku, our correspondent, joins us over the phone from Itanagar. Indu, what are the relaxation measures being put in place in Arunachal Pradesh?
Yes, Navarun, today a video conferencing was held with Chief Minister Pema Khandu along with all the ministers, state ministers and legislatures, including the health officials and the deputy commissioners. So like regarding the relaxation, Navarun, already some days back the state government in its initiative has also relaxed like 9 districts they have cited out wherein they can travel, the movement and all. And on this note, even now they have also regarding the relaxation, especially they will also allow all those, especially in today's video conferencing, they have also allowed all those stranded people, they will also be coming back to the state. And however, they have not specifically mentioned about the relaxation in the state, but yes, all those all those transportation, like the Arunachal Pradesh state transportation, it has also been issued to all those districts wherein they can go with a capacity of 50%. And however, no any kind of measures, particularly on the relaxation, has been outlined today in today's video conferencing.
And Indu, interstate movement of stranded people, students, workers, will continue even though the lockdown has been extended. There will be no air, rail, road, interstate travel, but the travel allowed by the MHA under MHA protocols, which the MHA will allow, that will continue. So is Arunachal also has prepared a list of those stranded outside, and a lot may be stranded in other parts of the northeast. Has the state government start coordinating with other states and bring back those people in a batch-wise manner?
Yes, exactly. Regarding the transportation and to especially talking about the stranded people and the stranded students who are there. They are first of all focusing on in and around the northeastern states, 7 northeastern states, whoever are there. So they have already started online starting yesterday till midnight, tomorrow, 2nd of May. So all those people can apply online and they can come back. And first priority has given to those stranded out in and around the northeast, and accordingly the second phase will be focused in a phased manner throughout the different states, whoever are staying in different states, and particularly focusing on those states who are in green zone areas, Nabarun.
All right. Thank you so much, Indu Chukwu, for all those updates. The lockdown has been extended, but a lot of relaxations are in place, and things will be crystal clear tomorrow. The respective state governments will also issue some guidelines. Digressing a bit from the lockdown scenario now, Bongaigaon in Assam is a red zone now. Of course, we know why. Five cases in a span of 2 days, and there is also fear of local transmission because the 4 people who tested positive yesterday are from different locations. So how critical is the situation in Bongaigaon, especially at a time when all the states are looking to get back the stranded people who are outside the region? How critical is the situation in Bongaigaon? Does it change the narrative? We are being joined over the phone by Dr. Stapna Sharma, Assistant Professor at the GMCH. Dr. Sharma, we all know that the 4 cases in Bongaigaon, they are from different locations, and that has created a sense of panic not only in the district but the entire state. How critical do you think is the situation there?
Yes, just when we were thinking of relaxing the lockdown on the 3rd of May, we have 4 positive cases yesterday in Bongaigaon. And immediately after that, our team had done from Guwahati as well as from Borpata Medical College. And we went for contact tracing and especially to take the proper history of the cases. And fortunately, we have no clear evidence of a community transmission.
All right.
We are still into the process of contact tracing. We are still into the process of history and history taking. But as of today, there is no evidence of community transmission. They have all had certain history of contacts all through or travel. So as of today, but then we cannot be that assured, yes.
Absolutely. But the more we go deep into it, we find that yes, there has been contact, and possibly by tomorrow, the entire picture will be clear. A lot of developments have taken place. But also another thing is that despite all this, there's a steady recovery rate in the state, ma'am, with patients getting discharged. Again, the number of active cases had come down to 9. If not for the 4, 5, 6 new cases, we'd have been down to 3 or 4 by now. But still, that's a moral booster that every second day people are recovering and are being discharged from the hospitals.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm saying despite all this, despite the criticality,
yes,
probably the moral booster is that every second day we are also being able to discharge people from hospitals, and the active cases are going down. So that is probably something that keeps medical professionals like you ticking because people are also recovering, and that's a healthy sign.
Yes, exactly. So today with the release of the only person positive cases we had in GMCH, that was quite a welcome step. We have a recovery of around more than 75% now. Recovery rate is around 75% in the state with 32 out of these 42 cases that we have. And yes, it's morally boosting, but we have to be careful because we have still, and most of the cases we have seen are asymptomatic without any critical conditions. They are not, no one is in the ICU. All are only in the isolation wards and on severe quarantine. So that the recovery rate, as I said, that 75% for Assam is quite reassuring.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stapna Sharma, for your valuable time. Thank you so much indeed. Just digressing to another topic now, as the MHA extended the lockdown today, a lot of confusion still continues, but the directive is clear that it will be a district-wise decision will be taken district-wise. Red zones will have more restrictions in place. The orange and green zones will have far more relaxations than, say, a red zone. So it's all penned down. But again, times like these are also a breeding ground again for rumors, for fake news, especially on social media. Brigu Talukdar, how difficult it is to control fake news in social media during the times of such pandemic. I mean, it's a permanent phenomena. Can't help it, but then we also have to control it.
Yeah. You see, this problem of fake news or in fact unverified news or some very half-truths, they have been there in social media, like when social media has become quite intrusive in all over the country and all over the world. But at the same time, in situations like this, when there is a very, very dangerous infection around, where information is the key for protection, uh, the sort of fake news or this sort of unverified information, and it's you cannot stop giving words for, like, there is a whole lot of information giving some wrong medication, giving some unverified treatments, giving there are WhatsApp forwards which are saying, okay, if you do these sort of things, it will protect you from COVID-19, which are basically unverified. So um, with the reach of the social media and platforms like WhatsApp, Facebook, and others, it's very difficult to control this sort of information, disseminating among the public. But at the same time, the government and the society, not only the government, the society also have to take steps so that these does not spread like wildfire, because these we are playing with lives here. We are not only playing with single lives here, we are playing with multiple lives. One wrong information can create a cascade of events which might lead to a possible a harm to someone's life or someone's health. And for that, we have to I think the authorities have already taken steps in the last few days to curb
Absolutely. We
this
have had
sort of
arrests also.
menace.
We have had arrests
Yeah,
also in Mizoram.
arrest
People
also.
were
Yeah,
arrested. So
yeah,
clearly they are monitoring. But
yeah.
how much monitoring is enough monitoring? I'm also being
But
joined. I'm also being joined from Dimapur by journalist Kollol De. Kollol De was associated with the Indian Express. Kollol, thank you for joining us on Bottom Line. Kollol, these are times when everybody is bombarded with a lot of information, especially in the social media. So much so that it becomes difficult to keep a tab on how much of it is true and how much an assumption or even fear-mongering. How to ensure that misleading information is as less as possible, at least during these times, Kollol?
See, first of all, this is a relentless battle. I mean, it's not like a particular shift we can work and then, we can rest at ease. The fake information on the social media has been taken care of. 24/7, it's happening. People are churning out fake news. A lot of times, fake news, not even intentional. People just, on hearsay, they just start creating news and forward it. And the thing is, the community has to be sensitized. First of all, the police has to take very prompt action. Might not be very stringent action, but prompt action. I mean, they should be tracked, they should be brought to book, or they should be summoned. In Nagaland, that's happening actually. So, and of course, there are a lot of fake news checkers who are fighting a constant battle. I'm one of them actually.
Okay.
On social media, I keep on various WhatsApp groups, I keep on debunking fake news. There are many people like us who keep on doing that. The government also needs to have its own cell, a fake news debunking cell, especially in a situation like what is today, the coronavirus situation.
But Kollol,
Yeah, that's it.
But Kollol, the IT cells of the state police departments are already understaffed. They're overworked. They also have a lot of other things to do. Probably what can also be done is that, say, for instance, people like you, who have in a way taken to rendering this yeoman service of debunking fake news, as you just said, as and when possible. Will it be possible, for people like you to also reach out to the authorities or vice versa to partner in this battle against fake news?
Mm-hmm. See, first of all, adding to what I said earlier, the government, of course, needs to do more. Whatever. PIB is debunking fake news now, and whoever, the government, of course, needs to do more. It's stretched, we know. I think the government needs to actively rope in, how do I say, the society. How it works here in Nagaland, Nagaland is a close-knit society. So the moment a fake news is circulated, it's easy to pinpoint. And there are people, there are NGOs, there are tribal bodies who are immediately roped in by the, by the authorities. Easy to track that way. The fake news is a worldwide phenomena, and as there is no one panacea for fake news, except that like all now most newsrooms have
Yes,
what do you call
teams,
it,
yeah,
a separate team
teams
to
debunking
tackle
fake
fake
news.
news. I think it has to be done on a huge range, from newsrooms to, I mean, and the government has to largely depend on them, because
but Kallol,
yeah,
the
government,
mantra,
the IT cell.
Kallol, the mantra probably during these times is that do not go by any information which is not disseminated from the official social media pages of the State Health Department or the concerned authorities or the MHA. Probably it is this practice which we should try and inculcate in people. Go for the official sources.
But no, that doesn't work with the common people. However you tell this to the common people, it doesn't matter what the next door neighbor tells you. That's always more, more verified and more valuable. It doesn't work that way. I mean, I know, or you might know that the Twitter handle of the MHA and a lot of people, who are into this business, of a very, very small section of people actually care about the verified Twitter handles and that sort of stuff. For the common man, however we claim to be a digital country or digitized country or whatever, the common man is still very much unaware. And however you explain to it, I'm telling you very practically. I mean, I have been explaining this to people, but the next moment they come up with something completely bunkum. I mean,
but
complete
Brigu
hearsay.
Talukdar,
For the common people,
yeah,
to
Brigu
understand this, it will
Talukdar,
take
if you
time.
can, if you could hear our panelists Kallol saying that yes, you might want people to follow the official social media pages and all, but that hardly happens. But that doesn't mean that we give up. We have to start somewhere. Probably we have to inculcate and create awareness, where the information should be derived from. That is a must. We cannot give up. Yes, it is nearly impossible. It's impossible to stop fake news, but then awareness still remains the key. Brigu Talukdar.
Yes, see, if you can see, if you can turn 1 year or 2 years back when we had deaths in Karbi Anglong because of this fake news WhatsApp forwards, because it has already taken lives. But now, since we have really understood the gravity of the situation right now, where information is the only instrument, if in lot of cases, to tackle COVID-19, I think this requires a concerted efforts from the authorities, even from the media houses, I would say, to how to spot fake news, like how to, even if you get something, make them aware. Okay, don't trust it immediately. Just see if it is verified. Just think for a moment, like awareness. I would say, it's a very cliched term, but media literacy is something which we are lacking in a very big way. We have very little amount of knowledge how really information comes to us. So we cannot, we have not done it before. Yeah, that's the point we are lacking. But at the same time, we have to increase it now. We have to start from now. This is the moment you have to start it and as much as possible, we have to make aware the society as much as possible through the government officials, through the media channels, through newspapers. Whatever instrument is in our hand, we have to use it currently. It can also happen. Yeah.
Probably each one of us has to start reporting, as and when we find something suspicious. It should be our duty to report. Probably that is where it should begin.
Yeah. Reporting goes a very big way, but in only a few of us only go and report. These are the information that is wrong. But at the same time, what Kallolda has said, that whoever is in a position that they can fact check it, they can debunk it, we have to do it. Like before, we used to shy away from it, how others are going to perceive it, but right now there is no other option. Like whoever can, they have to do it.
All right. Well, be aware of fake news. Always go for the official pages. That is what we would like to appeal, because these are times of crisis, and a fake news only adds to that crisis. Thank you so much, Kallol. Thank you so much, Brigu Talukdar. That's a wrap of Bottom Line.